Well, guys, the bloodbath continued. Much to the chagrin of everybody. I was watching last week's episode as we prepared for this one, and I had to laugh at our naive levels of optimism. We ended last week's episode calling your shots. Where will you be next week? I said if I'm at -4, I would be so happy. Well, now I'm at -15. So
It's close. Subtract 1 from 5.
yeah, I only missed by 10% in a week. Awful. Real life scenario, intriguing opportunity to potentially buy the dip. Again, hashtag not investment advice. But Kyle, I noticed that you had fared better than most. Did you do anything differently this week? Because I mean,
Yeah.
like compared to the rest of us, you're looking pretty damn good.
Well, so I basically just locked in the losses on Litecoin, which was actually good because if I kept it, it has continued to free fall. So it would have only put me further behind. So I just kind of locked it in at like -40-something%. It was not a good feeling. But I took the money that I got back and I invested that in Bitcoin at around 35K, and it bounced a couple times up towards 40, between 30. It oscillated a couple times between 35 and 40, and I sold a little bit over the week, like twice in one day where it bounced like that, and made some money.
So you day traded Bitcoin?
That was keeping. I kept my other 2 coins just because I didn't really want to lock in multiple losses like that. Those 2 coins are not faring well either, though, so that probably was a mistake as well. At this point, my losses on crypto almost equal my losses on GameStop, so that's kind of impressive.
Oh my goodness. Here we were just a couple weeks ago urging Kyle to find his own coins.
Yeah.
Get in on it, man. That's starting to look like really, really bad advice. At least in the short term.
No, it was so bad for me. Well, I mean, I would say so bad for me, but at the same time, like, I'm not dead last, so that's fine. Like, that's okay with me.
Yeah, I mean, you're in second. Would that be your highest ever finish?
No, he won one straight? Or
No,
you got second before, though, for
I think
sure.
I got second in the first month,
Mm-hmm.
something like that.
Oh, that's right, you did. Yep, you're right.
But yeah, mine's not looking too hot. Yeah, Kyle, I think Litecoin, like dipping on Litecoin is probably a good play.
Yeah, it has continued to not do well, dude. I was looking at it, I was like, oh my god.
I'm sitting at a solid -61%.
Yeah.
I'm done 45K on it.
Oh no.
Those sound like some good figures, dude.
Yeah, dude. So, honestly, maybe, yeah, I don't know. Like, Ethereum dropped over the last week. It's dropped like $1,000 on price too. So now it's sitting at 2,000 something, which sucks. So like,
Yep.
I got one single green company. I'm happy about that.
Dude.
You gotta look at the silver lining in something.
Nice, the positives.
Yeah, Honeywell's sitting at a solid positive 0.14.
Nice.
Is that all time or is that just for this month?
No, just this.
Okay.
All time I'm pretty solid though. I got at least 3 companies in the green.
Okay, nice.
Home Depot at 4.8, Delta 14.4, and then Honeywell at 12.1. So
Okay.
pretty decent on those, keeping me afloat.
Currently, all time, I have 3 investments with 30% losses or worse. 2 of those are coins, and one of those is Tesla.
I was gonna say, I know that you and I have Tesla in common, and then I've got Canadian Solar is down now over 30%. I told you it's a great 5-year investment. I'm just 5 years too early. But yeah, the Ethereum thing, Kyle, was quite disappointing. 'Cause I sold off Target to buy it, And I was looking really good. It was up around 3,000. I was like, okay, this is a great call. Well, now Target, of course, had a great quarter, reported the earnings, and Ethereum is in the toilet. But let's see, for the month, I have one company in the green for the month.
Yeah.
And it is Commercial Metals, the other company I bought off of my Target transaction, at plus 4.48. Ethereum, negative 21.7. Bitcoin, negative 38. DraftKings, negative 21. Tesla, negative 18.3. The good news, though, all time, you will recall I got as high as positive 18%. I am now all time down to negative 0.53. So, while I have lost all 18%, I have actually lost very little principal. All I lost was unrealized capital gains. So if you spin it that way, it doesn't sound as bad, but it's still really, really bad.
If you're already buying your yacht with your theoretical money, that's not looking too good. Yeah.
No, that's why you don't do things like that. Yeah.
Oh man, I really don't want to look at my all time. I'm 50. Yeah, I'm 50-50 on the.
All time, I'm down 20% at this point. I went from getting back towards 5% to be down 20%.
I'm negative 7%, but 5 of my 10 investments are double-digit losses. Feels so good, man. Nice.
Yikes. Yikes.
Where is everyone sitting at with all time?
Austin is still at plus 13.5 because of his one good month of Ripple, but for the month he has given back like 17.75% or something like that.
Yeah, well, because Ripple's at like half its price that it was holding at. Even like, because it peaked at like $2.
It peaked at like $2. He bought it at like 45 cents, and now it's at like 83 or something. So.
Or even lower, because I have some Ripple. I think it's at like. Oh, okay, yeah, it's at 80 cents right now.
Okay, yeah.
It fell another 12% today.
Oh my. Well, all of this volatility and the subsequent ass whooping that everybody has gotten at the hand of one token or another leads me to start wondering if the world of investing in crypto is now more in line with the mainstream market than it used to be. Because it used to be that crypto was kind of over here off in left field or right field or whatever orientation you're looking at this video from. Somewhere over there. And like it would go up, it would go down, but the market did what the market did. Now I feel like the market is having uncertainty surrounding inflation, obviously. But now crypto is also getting rattled by the same lack of investor confidence for one reason or another. Obviously, Elon Musk's tweets are a topic for another day. But like it seems like they're more in line now than they've ever been, at least up to this point. I mean, do you think that's an accurate sentiment? Like, I guess where do you see there being overlap? Where do you think they're getting this value or this lack of confidence from?
So you're asking, do I think the same reason that regular stocks aren't doing well, or is that causing crypto to not do well?
Or vice versa, correct.
Sure, maybe. I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily the same reason. No, because with crypto, you still have a system that we are pretty sure like only a few people control the majority of the available coins, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the idea that there's these massive whales, like more so than I think anyone plays in the stock market. Like, I mean, like I think the stock market at this point is too big to have the type of whales that you do that crypto has.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's the same. You could say they're related in the fact that these people who are large whales with crypto probably have a lot of money invested in the stock market.
Probably.
And losses there probably incentivize them to sell for gains in crypto, or that are at least gains for them.
Yeah.
You know, it might tank the price of the coin, but they don't give a shit as long as they make the money as it's tanking.
Yeah.
To offset some of these other losses of that. You could say maybe it's related like that, but I don't think it's necessarily the same, because I mean, like, I still think that there's still a lot more volatility in crypto, so I don't think people look at investing in it the same way as they do investing in stock. And still, I think there's still like a very different kind of feeling when I invest in, when I hear people about investing in Bitcoin versus investing in like Amazon, I still think there's like a different feeling behind like the idea of what you get back from your money.
Yeah.
Like even people who like crypto a lot, I don't think they don't seem to have like the same sort of attachment to getting like a coin as some people do, like, you know, owning a percentage of the company.
Yeah. I mean, I think part of that is Amazon is much more tangible, right? You know, whereas with Bitcoin, yes, you can physically hold it in actual coins if you really want to, but the overwhelming majority of people don't do that. It's just this thing that they keep in cold storage or on a flash drive or on one of those vending machines in Vegas at the casino when you accidentally buy some on a drunken Friday night. Like, it's very different than, you know, actually being like, there it is.
Very serious about it.
Yeah.
Like, they have strong feeling, and they like are very bullish on holding it. I'm just saying, it's just, you know, like, I think the general sentiment of people is still, you know, like if you ask the random average investor, like, you know, like what they thought about owning a share of a stock in like a very valuable publicly traded company,
some type of blue chip, yeah,
versus owning some theoretical partial token or partial coin of, you know, some well-established cryptocurrency, most would be like, well, like, there is more use, right, for the stock at this current moment. That would be the general thought. They may not be right, but, you know,
yeah.
I think that's still, so I think it's still kind of viewed differently.
I gotcha.
I don't know. I view it differently. At least I would, you know, if I was deciding I'm going to invest in crypto or I'm going to invest in, you know, companies, I would still approach that very differently as a mentality, I feel like.
Yeah. Okay, then, so what do we make of the fact that the Chinese government is now going to start cracking down on mining and all crypto-related activity?
Well, that's probably not good for crypto, considering that's where a lot of the mining occurs, right? So, so the supply is going, well, I don't know. On one hand, does this mean more people have a chance to get coins because there are less, some of these farms will get shut down, or do you think it just means that no one will get these coins because these farms at this point are the only ones that are capable of mining actually anything, because the hash rate is so slow at this point that you're like, well, I need like this farm just to mine anything valuable to outpace the electricity that I'm pumping through it.
So there's a couple things here, I think. One, new farms will pop up. The question is where. Because even though the hash rate is as slow as it is, if there's money to be made, there's somebody desperate enough to go to the lengths that are required to make it.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I can't get away from at this point is that not that long ago, China announced that they were creating their own digital token. And so part of me wonders if this is the beginning of them attempting to create demand for whatever it is that they are going to release. Now, obviously, if you're regulating crypto as a whole, you have some legislative issues that need to be looked at there. But if all you're doing is cracking down and prohibiting the farming of Bitcoin and other tokens, in theory, you've just created a monopoly for yourself. So then can average people like you and me buy the Chinese national digital token or no?
I mean, if it raises the price of it, they might let us buy it.
I'm sure it would. At least in theory.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, I mean, this is the first time in quite a while, anyway, that there has been significant legislative activity on the mining and use of any token of any kind. I mean, we've talked about the case with Ripple that's in the court system right now, and that's obviously still ongoing. But this is the first concrete action that anybody has taken to actively make it more difficult to use these things. and I understand that as one of the world's most populous nations, this is obviously not good. But if people get spooked off this easily, it does have to make you wonder what type of positive market conditions it would take to support another hit like this. Because if somebody else comes out tomorrow morning and says, hey, we're not going to allow it either, I mean, how far does it go that time? Are you down to 20? Are you down to 10? Like, how many more of these can they take before it either ceases to exist or becomes so cheap that enough people flood in to buy it that it artificially props up the price again? Because on the flip side of this, if the US, for example, finally authorized a Bitcoin ETF, or a crypto ETF in general, which it doesn't look likely this session, how high would it go at that point? I mean, are you talking 10%, 20%, 100%? Like, it's at this very interesting and admittedly precarious place where bad news is really, really bad because it doesn't have widespread market use. It's just an artificial store of value. On the flip side, any type of mainstream market adoption could potentially send this thing to heights that it has never seen. So, I don't know. I guess I am curious which happens first. I don't honestly think that a lot of other people are going to start prohibiting it, but I could be wrong. And then, of course, what does that mean for all these other smaller coins? The Litecoins and the Doge, and I saw somebody accidentally ended up with like a couple $1 million of a token called Ass Coin the other day. Like, I didn't even know that was a thing.
I hear stuff about like Matic. I hear stuff about Ethereum. I guess those are all points we talked about already.
Yeah.
It seems like there are some that people feel like will be resistant to the overall downslope of the market, but I'm sure smaller coins right now are getting swallowed up.
Yeah, so this guy ended up with okay, so unemployed day trader burned by GameStop and Dogecoin ends up owning 20 billion units of cryptocurrency known as Ass Coin, as reported by the Business Insider India.
They already lost money on Doge and GameStop when they proceeded to buy Asscoin by mistake.
Okay, well, so apparently that's an acronym. The actual name is a lot less fun. It is the Australian Safe Shepherd, or
They picked that name on purpose.
Asscoin. Yeah, they had to have. That's not an accident. I'm sorry. There's no way. But
wait, so he bought this on purpose? He or she bought this on purpose? Or,
I'm not entirely sure.
like, did they think they were buying something else?
He opted to play on Robinhood after losing his job during COVID.
Well, see, that's the other thing. You asked what kind of event would it take to restore buyer confidence, and this initial surge is caused by a lot of people who were just bored at home.
Yeah,
A little bit of extra
absolutely.
money, so I want to invest in something.
You needed
Let's
something to
stop.
pass the time that was relatively affordable while you were stuck at home.
And that could supplement your income, right?
Yeah.
And it did start with stocks. Like, everyone was interested in stocks at first, and then it just kind of naturally progressed with these other things that you could make money doing from at home.
Yeah, so he apparently just bought $500 of it and is holding it to see what happens. But apparently it's so cheap that that's like 20 billion units or something.
Oh, it's $500? Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was like.
Yeah, I thought he.
more.
Yeah, I thought he dropped like maybe like 5 or 6 digits on this.
No.
Wait, what the heck?
Yeah, now I'm looking at... Okay, so according to CoinGecko,
Something.
not a
You
sponsor.
raise the price yourself just by buying it.
Well, yeah, so that's the thing. You ready for this? Most current price in US dollars, decimal point, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1.
He probably did raise the price by buying $500 worth of it. He probably got rid of a whole zero
Honestly, it is that part of the new millennial retirement strategy. Put like $10 into all these coins that are trading at fractions of a penny and see what happens.
Not retirement strategies, but I've seen people say that they're like, oh, I put like X, like a few $100 into like Ethereum or Bitcoin, and they're like, I'm hoping that turns into my kids' like college fund by the time that they're old enough or whatever. Like,
Yeah, I
old
mean,
enough to have a kid, and then they like figure out like maybe that would be worth a college fund, like, you know. Like,
you're not wrong. I mean,
throw $1,000 at it, and you see like 500% gains. Like,
yeah, I mean, as long as you never invest more than you're like okay with losing,
Yeah.
then okay. I mean, do your thing. Try it and see what happens.
I mean, honestly, like, even if you were like, hey, I'm gonna like not buy a dinner or a lunch today or something, right?
Yep.
If you just threw that into like maybe some type of crypto and it takes off, like, I don't know. If you have like your hoard of like, like 50, you're invested in like 50 cryptos for like $10 each or something.
Your lunchbox full of crypto.
Yeah, and like one blows up, and like I don't know, maybe that could work.
you know, when hits, you get $500. You take the $500 and you cash out. You reinvest it into like Bitcoin. Bitcoin spikes back up again. You double your money of $1,000, and then you reinvest that.
Yeah.
Random shit coins again, and then one of those hits you get $5,000. Like, okay, let me see.
Did we just come up with a New York Times bestseller? How 3 average men became millionaires by not eating out for lunch 1 day a week.
Investors hate them. One simple trick to get rich.
Ads plastered all over the bottom of internet web pages with
Nice.
very deceptive thumbnail images and clickbait for titles. There you go. Oh my goodness. That would be interesting though. If you legit just put $10 in a bunch of random things that you'd never heard of just to see what happened.
Yeah.
Just don't lose your access keys.
True.
Especially with that kind of a thing. Yikes.
I bought $10 worth of this, and it's worth $3 million now, but I can't. Yeah. I can't sell it.
Dude, that would be the worst. You see those headlines too, and it makes me so sad for those people.
Yeah,
Like,
the people who invested in Bitcoin 10 years ago.
yeah, not good. Anyway, in a pleasant transition from the bloodbath that has transpired, we are now going to take a moment and return to one of our favorite topics, making fun of WeWork. I saw an ad the other day that it's either out now or it's coming out very soon. There is a documentary coming out on Adam Neumann, the ex-founder and CEO of WeWork. And I'm honestly very interested in that because he strikes me as a very, very interesting person, for better or for worse. But the only reason I bring this up is because they also reported earnings, because they're trying to go public via SPAC. We talked about this a couple months ago on the show as well. You ready for this? Quarter one losses. 2.1 billion US dollars.
You say B?
Billion with a B. 2.1 billion.
How long has WeWork existed now?
I want to say it's pushing a decade. Let's look.
So like the idea that we're losing money because we're a new investment is not as strong.
Yeah, so it first opened in 2010 in Soho, in New York.
Yeah, that's pretty rough. Not an investment, I would think.
Well, no, and so the thing is, they're still trying to go public via SPAC because they're trying to turn this into a profitable thing, but like, I'm all for never giving up on your dreams, but like, man, at what point does somebody like a SoftBank or somebody else who has poured billions of dollars into this thing eventually say, we can't keep doing this anymore? It's like, I get it, like, occupancy is up, and I mean, post-COVID, I'm sure that companies are going to be looking to downsize massive corporate offices into smaller pods and things like that. I see market opportunity there, but is it enough to support all of the capital investment and all of the real estate that they are paying for all over the world? I admittedly will say I doubt it, but who am I?
Yeah, I think they have to convert their business model from pure renting out space to maybe somehow offering something with the space.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't feel like it's different enough from traditional property management type of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, okay, it's more flexible property management. That's cool. Like, I've worked remote for the past 3 years. Like, I can appreciate that. But it's not going to make me want to go out and spend a bunch of money to go work at a WeWork when I'm sitting in my office at home. Like, it seems like if you could work from home, the overwhelming majority are going to continue to work from home as it currently exists. There's always going to be a small percentage. Maybe they have kids at home. Maybe it's a multi-generational family type of thing. Maybe you just need to get out of the damn house. Like, there will always be some people like that, and I totally get that. And there will always be teams that need to work together that are smaller offshoots of larger companies. But, like, I don't know that the market in those two instances is big enough.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, it doesn't. I don't know, I mean, it's also there's a hassle to it, isn't there? Like,
Well, you have to go there. My commute right now is 12 stairs.
yeah, okay, yeah, there's
Like,
that, but also
you're not going to beat that.
yeah, no, like it's like 5 steps. It's like hop out of bed, go to the office.
Yep. Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, even for like a big, say for example, a big company, or like not maybe like a medium-sized company, like a right? Okay, we need an office space. That's like, I mean, you probably have to negotiate some type of terms for that,
Yeah.
whatever, right? And like, I don't know. It just, what if the company wants to buy the property themselves? Like, you know, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. I don't know. The WeWork thing never made sense. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, WeWork can only really help companies that are like maybe 20 employees or less. Like
Yeah.
that's really who it could help. Like people who realistically do not have the capital or like really the need for a building
Yeah.
to be on hand at all
Yeah.
times, and they have no infrastructure, right? Like if you're also like a web company, even if you're really small, if you have like servers that you need to host somewhere, like you either have to rent those, like,
Yep.
use AWS service, or you have to have a literal space
Yep.
that that I need to put my server computer in, and at that point I probably wouldn't use WeWork because I need the space long term. Like it's not like I only need it for today. Like my product needs to run tomorrow too. So
Yeah.
Well, you could sign multi-year leases with WeWork, but at that point, like, how is it
Well,
different
that's
than
it.
anything else?
Then
Yeah.
I probably would have used any property company. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. WeWork needs. I think they need to offer something. Help like they need to first. I think they should cater to like. I guess the people who already don't have the resources to get type of spaces that they need to work in, but just maybe are too lazy. And then they need to like offer things in these spaces that make working in them nice. Like you said, what is the point of going to a WeWork space if I can work in my office? If there's nothing that they offer, like there's
Yeah.
no special tools or nice computer setups for people who don't have access to that at their own place, or like industrial type office machines, that
Yeah.
that can be used or whatever. Like I don't know whatever professionals may need. Like they need to be providing that, and even that at that point is kind of a stretch to me. And that is obviously another investment that you have to put into the space. Now I'm asking you to furnish the space.
Yep.
In the hope to bring people in. Right? So
Mhm.
it's like, I don't know about that.
And like, okay, maybe I could see it as like, so I know someone who works for like a design firm, right? And they recently just got rid of their rented office space, or like during COVID, they were like, I mean, we can't even meet here, so why am I renting it, right?
Yep.
So everyone started working from home, but they do still need to do like some confidential meetings with clients, like sometimes in person, sometimes like digitally, or like through like a Teams call or something, right? But
Mhm.
so I could see it maybe for those in-person meetings, or maybe like, I mean, but honestly, like maybe I could see it for maybe like a higher scale meeting location.
Yeah.
But then you got to get like actually nice, a nice venue or location built, right? That you can't have it like in some rundown like
Mm-hmm.
What even kind of like properties do they offer? Are they offering like, are they catering towards like higher scale like
All of the WeWork buildings I have seen are very nice.
They're all
yeah
like modern looking, modern
Well, they're all like
architecture.
in the heart of a downtown core. They're on
yeah
transit lines. They're shiny office buildings full of glass and polished concrete and that kind of stuff.
so it just doesn't sound like okay I maybe if you need to present that type of like outlook or something
Yeah.
then your company's probably hella expensive and you're making hella money. So that if you're making hella money, maybe you can just invest like in other
Property.
things.
Yeah.
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 Or maybe you want to like I don't know. You maybe that doesn't make sense, man. I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't work for me. I don't understand how it's gonna work out.
Because I think we just said like, or I kind of agree with Kyle. Like he said, it looks like in our mind, it can really only cater towards like smaller companies, right? But then if these buildings and locations are probably really high, like upscale or
Mm-hmm.
really expensive, can the smaller company afford it?
Well, like I know at one point, like they had a fairly impressive roster of clients. Like they had satellite offices for Lululemons and like companies of that scale. But like those are also the type of companies that are probably most likely to just say, you know what, screw it, we'll go full remote wherever we can, and we'll be fine.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, if there was a way to short a company that is not yet publicly traded, I would be doing it in this case. Like, call me small-minded. Maybe I truly just don't get it. That's very possible, but I don't see this ending well.
Yeah.
Like
I'm not,
much love to the people who work at WeWork. You're trying to do a good thing. I just don't think that the management of this company is capable of pulling the. They're not capable of turning it around at this point.
I could see it ending okay. I mean, like you said, like it's basically a property management company, and that on its own that could make money. Like even if that doesn't have anything special.
Yep.
About it. Like
Very
you
true.
would just say like, well, we have at this point we've established a lot of relationships with various companies, like you said, they have to with them or whatever. If they're still looking for offices, maybe we just give them a good enough price where they use
Yeah.
us instead of someone else, and we own nice enough offices where we make money doing that. Like if that could be a thing, but like I just don't see. I wouldn't invest in it hoping to make a lot of money because I'm
No.
like this is unique. Like this has got something that puts it ahead of its competition. I would just be like, well, I think it's got like a 1 in n chance where n is the total number of
Yeah.
property management companies.
Yep.
So take your shot if you want, but
I would be curious to see that pitch deck.
$2 billion in the red is not a great starting point.
Well, and that's one fiscal quarter of this year.
But I mean, sometimes you just hear about companies and you're like, how would you ever make money on that? Like, remember like Movie Pass? Like, how did anyone ever think that Movie Pass would make money? Unlimited movies for a month for like $10 or whatever it was. Like, yeah. It was
Yeah.
only at like select theaters or like it was like from certain theater brands. But like,
There was a way to make it work. I think the problem was that they got so popular that the demand for the service outgrew the support network of theaters that it was profitable for them to work with.
Dude, it's all in the popcorn. That's where the profit was.
yeah, I mean, like if I decide to spend all day at a movie theater watching like 5 movies, but I only buy 1 box of popcorn, it's probably not good for me.
No. And I mean, again, I think, movie theaters are another one where consumer habits are changing. And if there's not a strong enough incentive to go out to a movie, like, you have a TV at your house. Like, I know that's a gross oversimplification of a lot of things, but, like, movie theaters originally were a thing because not everybody could afford a TV. Like it became this cultural lexicon. Like you go that like you do a thing, but it's not just to go do a thing. It's to be part of something. And like now, it's just not the way it works.
It's gonna extend movie theater stuff. So I mean, like they give you a social experience.
Well, yeah, so like you can still rent theaters like privately, and like I guess the one notable exception, like premieres.
Like you don't just want to bring someone you've never met before to your house. You're
Yeah.
like, let's go on a date to the movie theater. And you know what? The person I live with, they spend a lot on home theater equipment and like kind of like the experience
Yeah.
of a huge screen and a a large massive sound system that you could try to replicate at home, but they still like going to the theater because they like the true experience. Like,
Yeah. That's fair.
I don't know. To me, there's at least some things that are there that more so than Office Space, at least.
Okay, so you're more bullish on the return of the American movie industry than you are WeWork.
Well, I'm not all about bullish, but I would have more reason to go to a movie theater than I would ever have to rent out personal office space.
I feel like everyone can go to the movies. Not everyone's gonna be like, I need a space to rent out.
Yeah, the entire population of the country could be a customer at a movie theater.
Could
Or
be.
at least 90% of it could be.
Fair. Alrighty, I did want to get to one more thing before we wrap up the episode for the week. I don't know if you guys saw the release of the new 2022 Ford Lightning. 45,000 pre-orders in 48 hours.
Holy.
It's popular.
Yes.
What is it?
It's basically a Ford F-150 that has a battery in it instead of an engine. Like it doesn't look like a Cybertruck. It doesn't look like a Lordstown Motors truck. It looks like a normal truck.
This is the response. This is the blue-collared response to Tesla.
Yeah.
Dude, it's got a trunk.
It does have a frunk.
Yeah.
Dude, I like the light on it too, the bar.
The light bar is nice. And it's only 40 grand.
Oh shit.
That's pretty affordable.
Okay. No.
Well, what kind of like hauling capacity does it have? I guess is it.
I'm trying to pull up the article I was reading the other day because I didn't have it up in preparation for this conversation, which is dumb, but
I mean, you should be able to pull right. That's the whole thing about batteries. You have massive torque, so you should be able to.
yeah, the question is the range on it. It says, okay, 0 to 60 in 4.4 seconds.
How much can I tow?
Yeah, let's just cut to the chase.
I don't know. Yeah. For me, like.
No, not the 2004 version.
That is a massive Ford. That's a massive. Honestly, the front trunk is huge too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You like the picture with like the bins and all the camping equipment in it.
That's kind of like the annoying thing. So like with my truck, right? Like it's okay. I mean, okay. I drive a Toyota Tacoma. It's kind of small. It's not.
For a
It's
truck.
not nearly this. It's yeah. In terms of a truck, it's on the smaller end. It's not comparable in size to that 150. But having a front would be nice. 'Cause then you can put stuff in front and then have the bed still.
Yeah.
Or like I have a tonneau cover, so I can actually put stuff.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a tonneau cover, and like if you're going on a trip, like when we went to
Yeah.
2 years ago,
Yeah.
It's just like hell.
holy crap,
Yeah.
the back was packed, and we still had to have stuff in the front. And
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like teddy bear hug your backpack.
Okay, here we go. I found a head-to-head comparison between the F-150 Lightning, the Cybertruck, the Hummer EV, and the Rivian R1T. Ready? Okay,
This is bad news for our Tesla investors.
we're gonna skip a bunch of things that we don't particularly care about. Horsepower, okay. Standard horsepower, the Ford 426, which is respectable. The Tesla, they're estimating it up to 800 because data is not available. The Hummer comes standard with up to 1,000.
Jesus.
Granted, the Hummer is also $112,000.
Yeah, so that's 3 times the price.
Yeah, and the Rivian, which is also not even out yet. To be fair, none of these are except for the Hummer, I think. 754. Pound-feet of torque, Ford is at 775. Tesla estimated at up to 1,000. Hummer estimated at 1,400, and the Rivian at 826. Max towing, 7,700 pounds for the Ford, which is respectable for the amount of power that it has. Tesla, they're estimating about the same, 7,500. Hummer is marked as not applicable. I'm not sure how it's not applicable to a truck to have a towing capacity rating, but okay. And then they're saying the Rivian, 11,000 pounds. Are you serious?
That's heavy.
Jeez. Okay. So,
Once you're towing this stuff, that's the important thing too.
yeah, I mean, if you're towing a trailer or something, like, you know how much that trailer weighs. Otherwise, you wouldn't be taking it anywhere. So release date spring 2022.
I like it. Honestly, I like it. If I wanted to buy a truck, I don't really have a need or a strong desire to buy a pickup truck, but I'd like that truck.
Yeah.
I like it more than the Cybertruck at least. I have no idea what the other cars look like that you mentioned, but the look of it, I would much rather drive that car than the Cybertruck.
Yeah, I mean everything else is just trying too hard. Like Cybertruck, you literally have cyber in the name. Like,
yeah, I kind of like that this is just a truck that happens to be electric.
You like that it's normal. I got you.
But it has the things about an electric car that I like. Well, like it's got a battery, obviously. It has more storage conveniently, and I mean it looks a little bit more modern, so I do appreciate that. But it's not like trying to be like fucking some like 2050 movie like fucking graphics being thrown at me.
It's not coming out of the next iteration of Blade Runner.
Yeah, so I kind of appreciate this. I don't know.
All right.
yeah, I guess. But I don't know. I'm still concerned about, just in general, electric vehicles like battery temperature, especially towing with a truck. Like,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so that's the thing. How many miles can you actually go if you're towing something heavy? Because it's not going to be anywhere close to the maximum estimate that they give you.
yeah, I still don't see it as like a daily work truck. You know, it's like, okay, if you have a diesel truck, you have like probably 1,400 pounds of torque, and you can go all day. Like you will go all week long without even running. You just got to refill.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, yeah, I don't think you're gonna replace like some construction for a contractor.
By that token, though, couldn't you just drive it home at the end of the day and plug it in?
Yeah, but the thing is like sometimes like what if you're towing like literally all day?
True. Yeah.
Or what if you're like going like cross state, cross country?
Yeah. No, that would not happen.
Yeah.
Absolutely fair.
Like I feel like this could replace like the guard. Like if you own like a company of like plumbers or like people who are like laborers, like you could get a fleet of these maybe and save yourself some money. Or maybe like pulling things is not really as important as just I need a truck or a van because like I need a big car.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I see this as like Bob down the street's gonna take his boat to the boat launch. Like I could. How does that work?
Oh yeah, this is definitely more a consumer car than a
Yeah.
than like a,
Yeah.
than a retail or than a
Yeah.
but like a company car. But I would say like I don't think like a construction company would be interested in this. I would say like laborers, non heavy laborers, but still manual labor, they would be interested in it.
Like this would be probably a replacement for my Tacoma maybe, where occasionally I haul like a load of dirt or something. Like something
Good for your car.
Yeah.
or tow like a car or something. Yeah. So like I mean the occasional use or like I mean like never the super long trip. Like I think this could be a replacement for my Tacoma, but I don't know, I like it better than like the Rivian looks literally like Baymax. Are you satisfied with your care? Nice. Brian.
Smoke alarm is going off.
Hope your house is not on fire, dude.
He's gonna go check on that and make sure that it doesn't get burned down. But
That's fine. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think I like what Ford did with this. In general, like, I like what Ford's been doing
yeah.
for years. Like,
Well, I guess that gets me to my question, right? Like, in the migration to electric vehicles, Tesla's obviously you could argue the most well established at this point just because of how early they did it. But like you're seeing serious product offerings from Ford, you're seeing serious product offerings from VW. Like GM actually has a plan to do something, which is more than they normally have for anything. So like I'm very curious to see whether or not the introduction of a lot of other really, really competitive products completely upends the electric vehicle landscape.
Yeah.
Is your house not burning down?
It's not. Just pizza was being made.
Don't burn the pizza.
Did they forget the cardboard box?
I don't know what it was, to be honest. It didn't look like there was a lot of smoke when I walked downstairs, but Brian was like, fuck.
I had a coworker one time attempt to microwave a cup of noodles without water in it. That was not good.
Ooh. How many minutes was it in there before?
Long enough to prompt a evacuation of the office building.
Nice. I don't think that's ever happened. That ever happened while I was working in pilot other techniques. I don't think we ever had to evacuate. I don't think there were ever any days where I was like, someone like really fucked up the break room headphones. No.
Oh my. Well, Kyle, while you were gone, we were just discussing, with the introduction of really, really competitive offerings from Ford and VW and GM attempting to get its act together.
Oh yeah, I don't
like
think that's good for our investment going to Tesla.
the next couple of years, I'm very curious to see what this does to the automotive market in general, but specifically with electric cars. Like Tesla has more revenue streams, obviously, because they do things other than cars. They have some of the infrastructure that these other companies don't. But like strictly from a volume car sales standpoint, it's about to get really, really interesting. Because I think you're right. Like as much as people love Tesla, or the brand, or the idea of a Tesla, right?
Well,
If you can save $12,000 and get an electric car, do you really care what the badge on the front is? Do you really care what it looks like? I mean, with the exception of like the Cybertruck, obviously, most of them are going to look relatively normal.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was the whole appeal of Tesla to begin with, was that it was an electric car that didn't look like a dorky electric car, right? Like,
Yeah.
It was supposed to look like a normal sports car sedan, and now
Yeah.
they've gone the other route where they're like, all right, no, the normal look is boring. We're gonna do this.
I did also see though that they're, I don't know if it's like math calculations or if they've actually tested this. They're saying that the new Roadster with the SpaceX like cold air fuel rocket pack or some shit on the back of it is going to go 0 to 60 in 1.1 seconds.
Oh
I wonder how many people are gonna try that out and just immediately crash. As they get thrust back into the seat and they yank on the wheel, and they just.
Yeah, I mean, there has to be some serious G's involved at that point. Like, you don't go 0 to 60 that quickly and not feel anything.
Like, I really hope they got the wheel locked. If they twitch a little bit while doing that is not going to end very well.
Like, it almost has to be like a drag-only mode or something. Like, there has to be...
The car is like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna handle this for you, bro. I don't trust the average driver to keep it so straight going 0 to 60. I really don't.
No.
I would be like, no.
At the very least, make sure that autopilot feature is not an option when that mode is turned on. Jeez.
Because a lot of really fast cars have like really strong like granny modes, so like you don't kill yourself or other people.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, if you can accelerate that quickly, if you have that much like torque and horsepower, then I guess that thing would probably spin tires really hard. So it probably, I don't know, maybe it prevents you from.
I don't know.
Don't die mode.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think that's the most important feature, right?
Yeah.
But if you took it to a drag strip, you'd probably dumpster a lot of the cars there and make a lot of people mad.
Yeah, I'm sure they wouldn't let you back.
Yeah. Because I was watching this video. This guy took like have I mentioned it already? Like
I think you had it. He spins like a stock Tesla.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So it's just like you could hurt some dude's feelings.
You absolutely can.
Yeah.
Anyway, not to get off track on that one, but I mean, I am legitimately curious in 2 to 3 years' time who is going to be the most valuable electric car manufacturer.
Well, Tesla's still got like their whole our cars drive themselves thing.
Well, yeah, so they've got
They don't drive themselves, but they assist
Yeah.
you.
well, so there's a couple layers to that though, right? Like they have more features at this point. They have the power wall and the solar roof and some of this other stuff. Like
At some point, if you do want performance, they still have the nicest car.
yeah, but like you look at the price of these things, right? Like Ford currently is trading at $13.33. What was Tesla at on Friday's close?
600 and something.
Yeah, see. So I'm not saying that Ford is the 579.40.
579.
So I'm not saying that Ford is ever going to get to be that much, but like, VW, same thing. Like I am admittedly always skeptical of VW because I think a lot of them are pathological liars. But
Well, so do you think that their price lies somewhere between Tesla's current price and their current price? Do you think Tesla's real price lies closer to that or closer to what they were at?
well, and so this is the thing. I think at this point that Tesla's prices will likely come down a little bit because they're still attempting to reach some type of economy of scale on the manufacturing front. So I do think there's some gains to be had there, but I do also think that the pricing on Ford's end is very, very intentional. In the engineering room, one of those big objectives that was circled on the chalkboard was must cost less than this.
50K probably.
Yeah, so like you have a lot of brand equity with a company like Ford. You have a lot of good history to work with, but it's not as sexy. It's not as eye-catching in a lot of ways. And so that you're going to have to compete on price if you're going to get people into this thing.
Yeah.
Because you have loyal customers. You just have to convince them that it's worth moving to an electric one instead of a gas one. If it looks very similar and costs about the same, you're doing as much as you can to remove those barriers to entry, which is absolutely what they need to be doing.
Yeah. So I think the what's it called, the Lightning.
Yeah.
Like, I think it would. I mean, okay. There's gonna be a lot of people. I don't know. There's a lot of like truck people, and I own a truck too. Are very anti-electric.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. They're just not open to it. Like like, I don't know. Some people see like electric as like being, like limiting you in some way, like being weak or whatever. But like power-wise, it makes more power faster, and everything. But so I can see for the general person, like maybe the less hardcore user.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the doors are wide open, right?
Yeah.
But I think maybe like just the lower price would probably get some of those borderline like I don't really like electric people or electric vehicles, but like
Yeah.
maybe they're on the fence about it. They don't quite hate it. So I think like the target audience wise, it's catering pretty well towards trying to bring people in. Looks pretty good because if it was like a 60 or 70,000, people pay like $60,000 to $70,000 for the top of the line.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I would pay $112 for the Hummer, but we all know that there's no way in hell I would ever make that much money. So.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's positioned fairly well. Let's see if it actually rolls out with that price.
Well, and the question is going to be, can they do it on time?
Yeah.
It sounds like they can. Otherwise, I don't think they would have announced it this way. But in today's world, with supply chains the way that they are, I guess all you can do is cross your fingers and hope.
Yeah. I mean, has this like been announced for a while, or is it?
No, they just took the covers off of it last week, but they've been working on it for who the hell knows how long at this point.
See, that's kind of an interesting thing too. Like, what is is it better to just be like, ta-da, here's what we got, or like, like lead, like, this is what I suspect like Apple is doing, like, or like all phone companies, like, oh, someone stole a get you hyped on the next generation.
Yeah.
Right? Is that like I don't know what like marketing wise what's better? It's a better strategy.
I once knew somebody who announced a book before they had even written a page.
Oh.
But like it's a similar concept, right? He was very aware of how to properly hype something.
Yeah.
And so he did market research. He figured out what people wanted to read. He then announced the book for pre-sale and then wrote the book.
Okay, that's
Like, I'm not saying that this is what Ford has done, because obviously they have pricing and very advanced renderings and a lot of other things. Like, there's more than one way to do this, and if you understand how to market it effectively, there's a lot of ways that you could set yourself apart and give yourself some very unique advantages. The question is what fits for what you're doing, and can you pull it off? But yeah, going to be really, really interesting, at the very least. Okay, so I know that last week it did not age well when we did this, but I do want to try one more time. To close out this week's episode, call your shot. Where are you when we sit down to do this next week?
Should we go for the reverse jinx? I mean, even during this call, I think I lost more money. Like, during the progress of this call, so it's not looking too high.
Oh, no.
I think I was kind of on point with my prediction last week, though. I was like, I'm hoping that I'm not at the same level, but I was expecting to be. But I was like, realistically, I'm probably like 1 or 2%.
I think you were probably the most realistic. I knew that I wasn't going to be correct. I knew that I wasn't going to get back to -4. I mean, in the back of my mind, I thought, maybe there's a chance, right? Cross your fingers hard enough, maybe there's a chance. But
Yeah.
at this point, shoot, I would be happy if I was back at like -13. Just give me a couple percentage points back, and we'll see what we can do with it.
I think. Okay, I guess I'll say my part. I think crypto has kind of stabilized a little bit. Like, I mean, I think it's fluctuating with like large percentages, but it always kind of averages out to
At the end of the day, I see.
Yeah.
It's within a similar moving range, at least it seems like.
So if I don't make any moves, I still think I sit at the same spot.
All right, so you're locking in -12.
-13, unfortunately, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't say really. Yeah. But
I think I'm gonna hit double digits this week, so I think I will go down.
Oh, you're going for the reverse jinx. All right. Calling a break of -10.
I'm on the cusp right now at like -9.7 or whatever.
Oh, okay.
And
So
I think I went from like 9.3 to 9.7 during this call. So I think that seems likely to me. I will be joining you guys in closer to the -15 range with the -10.
nice, dude.
welcome to the club.
The true question is plus or minus 2 people in the -20s by the end of next week.
That's honestly probably the better prop bet at this point. Like,
We got
if the over/under is at 2, are you taking over or are you taking under?
I want to say under. I want to say only one of us really gets to that -20%, but I don't know.
It-
We're spread out in different enough coins where
Yeah.
it takes all of them tanking for us. It's not like one coin tanking will knock you and Austin or me and Kyle or me and Austin or whatever.
Yeah.
Both to like -20. I mean, okay, if Ripple got down to 10 cents, me and Austin would be at so.
I don't know, man. Litecoin looks terrible. Yeah, I don't know.
All right. Kyle, we're running with that question. I like it. Kyle, over or under 2 people, -20.
I'm gonna say just one.
Okay.
Going for under 2? Or are you gonna sell it all, Jordan? Are you gonna try to sell and do anything, or are you gonna hold and hope to the week that it
I am undeniably tempted to do some wild and very irrational things because none of this money is real, but I have not fully thought through enough of it yet to talk about it. So
Sure, none of it is real, and technically, you said you haven't really gotten any losses.
yeah, I haven't really lost anything other than unrealized capital gains, but
So, like, if you do sell at a loss, you're still getting back like 100,000 fake dollars or whatever to reinvest into something else.
I am gonna say though that this route continues. I am gonna take the over. I think at this time next week there are two of us at -20.
There are two people at -20.
Yeah.
Just two or more than two?
I guess if it's over or under, I have to say more than that, don't I?
Yeah.
If the line is set at 2. Okay, yeah, why not?
Over two. Three of us.
Three.
That's not a good feeling.
On that delightfully optimistic note, guys, I do wish you all the best of luck. This is going to be a wild week to watch because it also happens to coincide with the end of the calendar month. Remember that Monday is a holiday. So, when markets close on Friday, May is over.
Nice.
This is it.
Locking in those good percentages.
Yeah. And they're double digits, dude.
Hey, this will just make next month's games easier. Technically, right?
Nice. Yeah.
Oh no.
Real low.
Yeah.
Watch it just continue to drop. No, thank you. I don't want that.
Oh my goodness. All right, guys. Have a great week. Get your popcorn ready. It's going to be a fun one.